Hello, and welcome to the Sands of Time. What if I told you that an entire village in Europe simply disappeared from all official records overnight? And when investigators finally tracked it down decades later, they discovered the residents had been living under completely false identities. This isn't the plot of some Netflix thriller. This actually happened, and the truth behind why an entire community chose to erase itself from existence will leave you questioning everything you think you know about post-war Europe. A postal worker in rural Austria notices something strange. Letters addressed to the village of Bergenhof keep coming back marked as undeliverable. The problem? According to every map and government record, Bergenhof doesn't exist, never has. But these letters are clearly written by people who claim to live there, work there, even run businesses there. The postal worker, Franz Müller, becomes obsessed with this mystery. He starts tracking down the letter writers, following postal routes through mountain passes that officially lead nowhere. What he discovers will haunt him for the rest of his life. Let me take you back to understand how we got here. In the chaos following World War II, Europe was a continent trying to rebuild not just its cities, but its very identity. Millions of people were displaced, borders redrawn, and entire populations forced to start over. It was during this period of upheaval that small communities sometimes fell through the administrative cracks. But Bergenhof was different. This wasn't an accident of bureaucracy. This was intentional. Franz's investigation leads him to a remote valley in the Austrian Alps, the kind of place where mist clings to mountainsides and ancient traditions die hard. He finds the village exactly where the letters said it would be. 43 houses, a small church, even a general store. Real people living real lives. Children playing in cobblestone streets. Smoke rising from chimneys. Yet according to every government office in Vienna, none of it existed. The villagers are initially suspicious of Franz's questions. They claim they've always lived there, that their families have worked these lands for generations. But Franz is persistent, and slowly, the truth begins to emerge. The real story starts in 1944, during the final year of Nazi occupation. The original village of Bergenhof had indeed existed, nestled in this same valley. But the residents weren't just innocent mountain farmers. Historical records that Franz uncovers reveal that the village had served as a crucial supply point for German forces retreating through the Alps. More disturbing still, several villagers had actively collaborated with the Nazi regime, providing intelligence and resources. As Allied forces advanced and the war turned, the villagers realized they faced certain prosecution. Some would be executed, others imprisoned. Their entire way of life would be destroyed. So they made a desperate choice that sounds impossible, yet somehow worked for nearly a decade. They decided to become someone else entirely. The plan was audacious in its simplicity. Using connections with forged document networks that had operated during the war, the entire village obtained new identities, not just individuals, but the community itself. They destroyed all records of their collaboration, created false histories for their families, and even changed the names of their streets and buildings. When Allied administrators arrived to process the area, they found what appeared to be a different village entirely. The residents presented papers showing they were actually refugees from the Sudetenland who had fled to this remote valley to escape Nazi persecution. They spoke of harassment and hardship under German rule. They even had witnesses to corroborate their stories because everyone was in on the deception. The administrators, overwhelmed with processing thousands of displaced persons across Austria, accepted their story without deep investigation. The original village name was quietly removed from records. The new identity became official. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Franz discovers that the villagers hadn't just hidden their collaboration. They had also hidden something else. Something that explained why they were so desperate to erase their past. In 1943, a transport train carrying Jewish prisoners had derailed near the original Bergenhof. Instead of helping the survivors, village records Franz uncovers suggest the residents had actively participated in hunting down escaped prisoners. Some were killed outright, others were recaptured and sent to their deaths. The weight of this revelation crushes Franz. He realizes he's uncovered not just identity fraud, but evidence of war crimes that had gone unpunished for a decade. The people he'd been observing, living their quiet mountain lives, tending their gardens and raising their children, were living monuments to one of history's greatest injustices. Franz faces an impossible choice: expose the truth and destroy an entire community that now includes innocent children and spouses who knew nothing of the original crimes, or remain silent and let justice remain buried in the Austrian Alps. The story of what Franz ultimately decided became legend in intelligence circles. Some say he reported everything to authorities, leading to quiet arrests and trials that were kept from public attention. Others claim he chose to let sleeping secrets lie, unable to punish the innocent for the crimes of their elders. But here's what we know for certain. By 1955, the village that called itself Bergenhof had indeed vanished again. Whether through legal action or voluntary dissolution, the community scattered. The valley returned to wilderness. Today, hikers sometimes find foundation stones and rusted tools, remnants of a place that officially never existed. This story forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about justice, identity, and the price of survival. In our modern world of social media and digital footprints, it seems impossible that an entire community could simply reinvent itself. Yet 70 years ago, in the chaos of post-war Europe, it happened. The next time you look at an old map or hear stories from your grandparents about the war years, remember Bergenhof. Remember that sometimes the most extraordinary deceptions hide in the most ordinary places. And ask yourself, what other secrets might still be buried in the valleys and villages of a continent that spent decades trying to forget? Thank you for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe.